Today, folks, I want to break down for you why I'm personally taking a stake in Oroco Resource Corp, adding it to my small cap portfolio of stocks I believe can unlock 10x value in the next 1 or 2 years, as I've been working closely with management on this channel, and I've come to realize it's one of the most underappreciated copper assets and commodity stocks in the market today. And firstly, I want to hear from an insider himself to reiterate the value. We're going to talk about the milestones and how we get to unlocking that 10x, and then we'll review some of the concerns when it comes to recent capital raising, the prospectus, and so much more. So if you're on a path to financial independence, hit that subscribe, join me on your journey, and just take a listen to the value here. Yeah, and just kind of speaking of the ones and zeros here, do you want to talk about the actual value? I know it's changing every day with the copper prices, but give some people a little bit of taste of what the interest is here.
Certainly. We're at 5.5 billion pounds of copper equivalent, and the mine plan that we have put together, we're looking at $1 billion a year cash flowing business at $4 copper. So clearly substantially more as the copper price rises. And, NPV of the project at $4 copper was 1.5 billion US dollars. And capex to build a little over $1 billion US dollars. So that's a very good capex to NPV ratio when compared with other copper projects globally. And so we think as a company holding just that singular asset, we're clearly directly geared, in our view, to that asset and its value.
So I think we need to understand that copper is the most underappreciated commodity in the market today. I mean, electric vehicles use 4x the amount of copper than traditional ICE vehicles do. You're talking about wind, solar, the fact that we use it in plumbing, electricity, and a lot of the old grid and system that we're using needs to be upgraded, and there's no better commodity replacement. It's why copper's trading at, basically record highs, and why these copper properties are so in demand, and the governments are trying to back them up. I mean, they actually have a green light from the government, which is one of those huge things to de-risk the property and bring it to sale. And I want to talk about bringing it to sale, the value unlock, and what gets us there with a recent video that I saw from Oroco that got dropped, and it's actually on their channel. So just take a quick listen, and then we'll talk about some of the risks and capital raising that they're going to have to do.
As far as the roadmap, then, how do you see things playing out in, say, like the next 6 months to 2 years, let's say? How do you see things moving forward with the company?
Adrian, I think that period is a very compelling one for us. With the recent engagement by the federal government on our behalf and the continued support of the state government, we're looking to shortly publish a desk prospectus that would allow us to finance in the near term to commence work on the PFS that I referenced previously. The PFS requires between 15 and 20,000 meters of drilling to complete. To date, we have drilled 50,000 meters. So this is certainly on the downhill slope for us in terms of project scope and scale. But with that additional drilling, we'll move the so-called south zone of the project into the indicated category. We'll complete a PFS, further map out some of the geotechnical and geohydrological requirements of the project, all of which we expect to be quite supportive of the current plan, and then do that work ideally by the beginning of next year, and then in the course of early 2026 publish the PFS with an updated resource, and then move the project towards its ultimate transaction, which we would love to see crystallize in 2026, but not everything proceeds at the pace you might best hope of. However, we do expect that by 2027, we should look forward to a very compelling transaction that would greatly benefit the shareholders of Oroco.
So this is why I'm saying we do not have to wait years for a company to unlock this value. Like it traditionally takes a very long time to bring a mine into production, but that's not what this company's trying to do. They're trying to get it set up and ready to bring it to mine, but then they're going to sell it to a major where they can actually unlock the total value, which is going to be in the tens of billions. But that could take Oroco Resource stock from, under the billion it trades to today, or sorry, under 100 million to $1 billion of value, which I think isn't that that actually hard to imagine from where we currently sit. But I've been hearing some criticism, some concerns, because this is a company that isn't generating revenue, which means they have to go to the public market to raise capital, which is why they've kind of wanted to work with my channel to kind of get the story out in front of investors like yourself and people like myself that might find it intriguing, because they're looking to basically, do a prospectus that allows the company to qualify, basically the distribution of up to 75 million of common shares, warrants, subscriptions, receipts, units, debt securities, or any combination thereof during the 25-month period that the prospectus remains effective. And you might be thinking to yourself, a company that doesn't have revenues needs to raise capital. They're going to do it through their stock, which could easily double the current shares outstanding, which means that there could be some volatility to the downside depending on the volume interest in the company. And you might think to yourself, I don't know if I want that risk, but you have to believe, if you're taking on the speculation that this has real value in a sale, that a major would want to buy this, then I don't think it's a big deal that they want to raise that. It's not that they're going to do it all at once. It's not going to snap their fingers and unload 75 million worth of stock on the public market. They're just going to do what they need to do to raise capital for the next steps to bring it to sale. So they might not even utilize the full 75 million. They just want to have option to utilize it need be. And honestly, I would use any drop this stock has as a potential to cost average. So maybe not go crazy all in at once, but maybe just cost averaging over time, because this kind of reminds me of some of my other small cap plays where I don't feel like I have to wait the next 5 or 10 years to unlock the value of this property. And I believe what management is going to take us to that value unlock. And not just because they're sponsoring this channel. I try and sponsor with companies that I truly believe have that real potential, like some of the other we've talked about on this channel, like Oroco. And I personally am taking stakes in these companies to show you guys that I'm not just one-offing, kind of promoting a company like this. So I'm going to be very intrigued to see how this pans out over the next 1 or 2 years. But I don't mind taking a stake and adding it to my small cap portfolio, because they have everything set up. They've done all the hard and most of the heavy lifting already. So I'm excited to see if we can take this to $1 billion value. But I'll pass the question off to you. I'd love to know what you think about it in that comment section below.